A site visit to Virginia City Wikiup Preserve. Nestled about 35 miles southeast of Reno on the eastern slope of the Virginia Range is the historic mining town of Virginia City. People from all over the world flocked here in the mid-1800s, seeking their fortunes in silver and gold. Virginia City's population boomed along with its mining claims, and an estimated 25,000 residents lived here during the Comstock Lode bonanza. Wealth and the hope to grow it attracted people to Virginia City. Stories of miners and prospectors, merchants and shopkeepers, investors, clergy, public servants, and others who called Virginia City home can be found in books and newspaper articles. But there are some stories that are missing. By establishing the Virginia City Wikiup Preserve, the Conservancy hopes to learn more about the Northern Paiute people who experienced a different side of Virginia City's boom. The artifacts and features they left behind help tell stories of survivance, how they used creativity and innovation to preserve cultural identity in the face of oppression.
Hi, I'm Cory Wilkins, Western Regional Director for the Archaeological Conservancy. We are here at our Wikiups Preserve. That's what we call it here in Virginia City, Nevada. The Wikiup is a structure that was built by the Paiute here, and our field representative will go into a little bit more about the culture and why they would build these. But when I started with the Conservancy 14 years ago, growing up in Reno and living close to Virginia City and having been in Virginia City a lot as a kid and later on in my teens, I felt that there was an opportunity for the Conservancy to get something that was probably underrepresented. Not a petroglyph site, not a mound site, something unique and different. So when Linsie was hired, I asked her to take a hard look at Virginia City and see what might be available. I had no idea what a Wikiup was at that point, but Linsie was able to kind of talk to some of her contacts, and she was educated on what a Wikiup is and led us to this site here. Another thing that I would like to get down the road, hopefully here, is something to do with the Chinatown, which I think is also underrepresented. So that's kind of how we came to this site. Just an important part of our history here in the West.
Hello, this is Linsie Lafayette from the Archaeological Conservancy. I'm the Western Field Representative. I'm coming here today to show you the Virginia City Wikiup in Western Nevada. This Wikiup is located in a National Register of Historic Places district, and it contributes to that district because it is an example of survivance of the Northern Paiute during a time when their choices were very limited on where they could inhabit and exist. Most of their rangeland had been trampled by cattle by then. A lot of the mines had polluted the rivers and they could no longer drink from them. And so this Wikiup is one example of how they could survive on the outskirts of a mining town. It's also an example of using the available materials in a traditional way. Traditionally, they would have had a mounded Wikiup with willow boughs and larger stakes wrapped around, and they would be dome-shaped, and they would have a pipe to stick out to let the fire smoke out. Later, they started using canvas that was available in the outskirts of these towns to lay over their structures. And then by the time this one was constructed, probably in the early 20th century, they started to copy the European house structure, but still using their traditional ways of patching and using supports together with iron strapping to make it all come together and make it a strong structure.
This riveted boilerplate. They used whatever they could find and fashioned it, or flattened cans and things, and just very resourceful. So thinking about this place and the Paiute who lived in here, they would have brought everything back here to process, right? To cook, all their supplies, all the goods that they lived with, beads, things like that. So our interest is not only in the structure, but especially what's subsurface, what would be in here, especially, if this is the original place where they would have cooked, you would find all kinds of things in the floor of the wiki up here, and that's where the value is really for us, is in the ground. But this structure also aids to our understanding of the Paiute people and how they lived in Virginia City.
I'm on the inside of the Wikiup now, and I've found a salt shaker that wasn't here during the first time Cory and I toured this site. And that's because a lot of times artifacts are churned around in the natural frost, freeze, heaving cycle in the winter and summer months, and that brings up artifacts. But when we see the artifacts on the surface, we put them back where we found them, because without them there, they lose their provenience, and then they really don't mean anything at all. So this salt shaker really only has meaning in this corner of this building. If I take it anywhere else, it loses all value in anybody's any research purpose or knowledge about this building. And this is a very significant find because it shows integration between the Paiutes who lived here and their European neighbors in Virginia City. It's important to preserve archaeological remains of underrepresented groups, because there is no other historical record of the Northern Paiute in Virginia City. I researched census records for Virginia City during this time period, hoping to find some note of the Paiute that lived in Virginia City, and I did not find anything. And there's just not much written about them. And that is where the archaeological record is so important to preserve, because this will really be the only thing that represents people who lived here during that time. Well, opposite of the Virginia City Wikiup is a view of the tailings from the Ophir mine shaft. So that is all created from waste from getting the ore from Virginia City. So I don't know how many miles below the shaft went to create such a large hill of tailings, but this is one testament to how much of a mining town Virginia City is. And this is just one mine out of hundreds in this region and hillside in the Comstock mining district.
In April 2025, the Conservancy purchased an additional Virginia City Wikiup site. Though this structure is not as well preserved, we believe it is the same site captured in this historical photo from the early 1900s. Anthropologist Margaret Wheat also documented structures like these in the 1950s, while they were still inhabited. Having the context shown in the photos gives us reason to believe that the site possesses a more diverse material culture signature than the first Wikiup site. In addition to the Paiute Wikiup, this preserve also contains several historical features that are related to 19th and early 20th century mining operations in Virginia City. These lie on the hillside above the Wikiup.
This is whiteware ceramic, which is not something that would be from the cemetery. It's likely from a dugout or a habitation where someone lived and ate from this plate here. Just like this amethyst glass, some amethyst glass fragments. This looks like milk glass, which predates 1960. The amethyst is from 1880 to 1920. But usually milk glass is indicative of a woman's presence, because the cosmetic jars are made from it up until the 60s. This is from a hole-and-cap can, which predates World War II. Just a small fragment, but likely from the habitation that's just over here from the dugout house, not from the cemetery or the mining activities. Here's a better example of a hole-and-cap can. This has the the lead solder on the top of the can that they would have put on when they were done filling the can. And this would be the hole that they would fill the food in at the top of the can. So the can would have been a lot bigger, and this is the top. So believe it or not, this is the remains of a house dug into the hillside called a dugout habitation. And it's on, it came with the parcel that the Conservancy acquired just last year in 2023. Or was it 2022? The end of 2022? So people would have dug into the hillside and then had a door frame and a door in the front. And then as time took its toll, the whole thing, the walls caved in and sort of slumped in. So all that remains is just a depression from their time here. I think I've seen a historic map showing the cemetery with a little house next to it, and I always wondered if this was the one that's depicted. So that's one feature on the site. We've got a really thick bottom of a jar, probably from the house, colorless glass, and some cans that would have had some food.
I believe it's the Bunker Hill shaft, and it's mining claim 3648, and that's the number on that mining claim right there. And the map is from 1907, so I know that this predates 1907. And you can find this information at the Nevada Bureau of Geology and Mines at University of Nevada, Reno. They have a website, and you can research this on your own. You don't have to pay any money. It's free. But that mining claim there gave me the number, and that is what led me to the search. It lies on the quartz lode owned by the Vermont Consolidating Mining Company. Mining claim is, and it's called the Bunker Hill Shaft. We're going to go visit the Vermont tunnel just over there. That is a mining adit, and so that's also on this map. And so they are all part of the same mining claim, the January, also called the quartz. And you can see how many mining claims there were in the area. So you've got the January, the June, February, July. So this was called the Vermont Tunnel on the historic mining map. And another reason why it was important to know the history of this particular adit, which is a mining endeavor that went straight into the hill, is that the Paiute Wikiup that's at the bottom of this was built on the waste rock created from this tunnel. And so it's a way of, we can also date the feature that's on the waste rock from it. So we know that it probably postdates 1907.